So doing corrective shapes in Max I find really fun. I'm not the best modeler on earth, but I can pull around points, and it's takes it away from the technical aspects as much. So let's get started. We can have a look at the layer manager, and I'm just going to unfreeze the geometry. And what I'm going to do, just to speed things up, is get rid of that mesh smooth, because it's going to slow things down a lot for us. And with the main geometry selected, we're going to work on the jaw. So I'm just going to hit Control V, and that's going to allow me to clone the object. I'm just going to make a copy, and this is Geo, and let's name things correctly just for this time. So I'm going to put in BS there. Not what you think it stands for. It stands for a blend shape. I'm so used to using Maya. I know they're called morph targets in Max, but I'm so used to using blend shapes that I just call everything a blend shape. So forgive me if my if I don't keep calling them morph targets, and I keep jumping in between both of them. So I'm just going to OK that. I'm going to remove the skin. I don't need the skin on this, and I'm just going to move him up and away, or at least away from the character, so that I can work on him. Alright, cool. So with that done, that's going to be my main blend shape to fit into this guy, and I need another one. I need another duplicate of this geometry, but I need it in an open position. So let's open out his mouth to the full amount. I've got a limit on this controller, so I can't actually go over the amount that I've designated. So this is going to be perfect. So I'm just going to hit Control V again, and in here I'm going to do another BS, and we'll do this. We'll do body underscore jaw correction underscore BS underscore geo. So I'm just going to OK that, and I'm going to delete the skin. Well, I say I'm going to delete the skin like I did last time, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to collapse this down, because I want to keep this position. So if we remove the skin, you'll see that it jumps back to its closed position. That's not exactly what we need. So I'm just going to go right click in the open area and go to collapse all, and that's going to allow me to move this out of the way, and you can see that it's kept its deformation of the jaw opening right there. So let's just close up the character. Alright, awesome. So let's forget about this guy. This guy I just usually create. I need a base for all blend shapes. So if I was going to do a closing eye, I would duplicate this one more time, just like so. Then edit the points. Let's just do this really quick so you can get an idea of what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to look for the soft selection, and just to make it really apparent, I'm going to move this way up here so it looks crazy, and it's not a blend shape that you'd ever use, but it doesn't matter. So on this guy, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a morpher on it. So like I said, that's blend shape morpher, same thing. So morph modifier. Just going to scroll down to the bottom of this before I forget and turn on automatically reload targets. And in these empty sections, I'm just going to right click, pick from scene, going to pick this guy, and now I can blend that through like so. And this is the guy that's going to take all of those inputs that you would normally do on a rig character. This guy, what we're going to do is we're going to add a morph target to it, or the morpher modifier. We're going to drop it underneath the skin, so the skin is the last to be affected. And I'm going to right click, I'm going to pick it from scene, just this guy that we renamed just the BS one. I'm going to automatically reload the targets. I'm going to put that up to 100%, and that's going to stay at 100%. I'm never going to change that. And this guy is going to take all of that information, and you can see that it moves along when this guy is getting driven from here, and then our main rig character is getting driven just from this one blend shape. And it means that we've only ever got one morph target or blend shape coming into our main rig, which keeps things a little bit cleaner and easier, and it means we can edit this guy or this guy without feeling that we're going to break the main rig. So that's just sort of a workflow thing that I wasn't really going to go into, to be fair, but you guys can get the idea of why I'm creating some extra stuff. So with all of that done, we need to edit the geometry on this morph target and make this a corrective shape. So it's pretty simple. If we just grab the geometry of our main rig character and we drop down to skin morph, where is it? There you go. So underneath the skin modifier we have skin morph. I'm just going to click that. And this thing has a number of options, so I'm just going to scroll this out a little bit so that we can see them a little bit more. And this is actually going to ask, this needs a bone, so what this does is it takes the rotation of a bone and then blends in a morph target over a percentage. So if the bone's closed, it'll be 0%. If it's open, so for the jaw for instance, if it's open, it'll be 100% of whatever this is, whatever changes we have on this. So let's go ahead and do this really quick. So I'm going to add a bone, and you'll notice that it brings up the selection menu, and because our bones are all hidden right now, we can't actually get to it. So let's unhide all, say yes to that, and remember we have to go into this custom selection as well. Let's just remove everything. Okay, back to the modify panel, and let's add in this bone. Let's remove some of these selections out so I can see what I'm looking at. Oh, our bones aren't there, so what's going on? Let's hide that selection. The bones are there, they're lying to me. Alright, so I'm going to unhide all again. I'm going to unfreeze all as well, just to be sure. Let's go back in here, and we should actually be able to find the bones. There you go, so bit of a glitch in Max. Or I'm not doing something right, one of the two, but I'm going to blame Max because it's easier for me. So let's add in the character underscore crunch underscore jaw joint. That's the one that we want, so I'm going to select that. And with that selected, we can create a morph target at any point. So let's open this out. Let's click this again, and let's create a morph target. So this morph target's now at 100%. And what I'm actually going to do, instead of editing, you can edit actually on top of this. You can just go ahead and edit this geometry, but we have a separate blend shape, which I found a lot easier. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use an external mesh. So I'm just going to do none, and I'm going to click this external mesh. And you can see that it pops up with the one that we want, the jaw correction, which is fine. And now we can go in, and we can easily come in here and just start editing this geometry. So I'm going to make this really apparent, and it's not actually going to be a nice fix. It just means that you guys can see exactly how this works. So let's get back in here, use soft selection, and let's pull this right down. So it's going to look crazy, it's not going to look good at all, but you can get an idea of how to fix up your meshes. Let's just scrub this out a bit, and that will do. Alright, so that's our new mesh. This guy should look like it once he's got a 100% open mouth. So let's go back in here and reload this target. Boop. So there you go, you can see that he's now got this mesh placed on here. And let's have a look when we start rotating this jaw. Awesome, check that out. So it's going from the original position that we've got across here, which we can see, and it's also got a nice opening for when this jaw rotates down. And there's tons of options in the skin morph modifier, and I suggest that you look over the help files and tutorials on how to use it, but that's the basics of how to get a corrective shape in there. And remember, we've also got a morpher target in at 100%, which we don't control on top of the main rig, we control on the separate blend shape geometry. So we can pull that up, and then when this rotates as well, we also get that nice corrective shape coming in at the bottom. So we've just went in and really mixed together blend shapes and post space deformers, or corrective shapes, whatever you want to call them. And that pretty much completes our full tutorial. So, you know, we've created Snark, who is a more basic character of Crunch. We've done the FK joints and things like that. We've also done the automated swim system just using a wave modifier, so nothing complicated, no mathematics to really think about, which is really nice. And we've come across to the more complicated character, talked about how to model him up in exactly the same way we did with the basic one. Use controls to drive the FK joints. You know, you could apply that wave modifier to this guy as well. And we've also come in here and looked at using morph targets as well as using corrective shapes. So there's tons more stuff we could do with this, and we could continue going. And you know what? I've never been truly satisfied with any rig that I've done. I could just keep working on it forever, but there comes a time, especially in a production environment, where it's a case of, hey, you know, this is your deadline, you need to finish, you need to do as good of a job as you can in the time that you've got. And I think I'm really happy with where we've got to with both of these characters in the time. And I think that hopefully you should have took a lot of away from this, just using, you know, some of the stuff that actually comes with 3ds Max. Not having to do anything custom yourself, except maybe that spline system, but still, that spine is still built into Max. We just use their basic tools. So thanks for watching. I've had a ton of time. I love this character. I'm going to try and animate him and get something good out of him as well. And hopefully you can too. So see you later.